Chapter 10. Unrest. The desolation of the great royal city of Lendel was immense, as the beautiful stone of the once crowded streets was now buried underneath hills of ash. The Elden Lord made quick to traverse through the city, killing any enemies that had remained in his way before taking a lift to the highest wall. He then transitioned onto another lift, one that let him reach a plateau at the very bottom of the outside of the wall. As he got off from the platform, he immediately stared at the glorious beauty before him. Tombs of golden enriched marble, flowers of rarity and stark beauty, trees gilded with gold from the sunlight that reigned so confidently above, birds that tweeted songs of musical beauty. The area was unstained by the ash of the great Erd tree, which was nothing more than a miracle, since the site was directly under its monolithic reach. A great tomb of immaculate beauty for the royal household was carved into the side of the cliff. Great statues depicting Marika and her children stood confidently guarding the tomb, as bunnies of golden pelt danced by the immaculate crystal clear springs that flowed ever so gently down from the cliff and off the plateau. Marika was buried by her loyalists in the tomb before him, after he slayed both her and her Radagon half inside the great Erd tree 1 year ago. It is here where she now lies, undisturbed and at peace, hopeful by many of her ilk that she will one day rise again. As the Elden Lord approached 4 statues of royal knights, whom had transmuted their souls into stone as sacrifice for this great duty, animated to life, they formed a line, guarding the great door to the tomb against the Elden Lord, preparing their great swords and shields to deliver heavy blow against the killer of their eternal queen. As they prepared their might, the door behind them shone with ethereal beauty, as water trickled down from carved stone faces and poured downwards into beautiful marble fountains that spewed the source into the earth, enriching the soil with mineral water that nurtured verdant life. The peaceful tranquility of this moment would not last, for time is a cruel mistress, and all things end. The Elden Lord rushed to breach the formation of the Stone Knights, hoping to break their defensive line, and of course he did so. As he smashed through them like a great rhino, he felled one instantly, with very little resistance. For how could they defeat the very person that they failed to protect against a year ago? That had been rendered their duty bound no more, for the golden blood of their dutiful queen had flowed freely on that day. The 4 Stone Knights were defeated. As the Elden Lord moved closer, the door sparked with arcane magic, and it began to open, as golden rays of glory shone on him, and before him stood a great hulking giant. Its body lighted with a golden magic, and the rays of gold that were on him rendered the Elden Lord into ash, for he had been disintegrated. The Elden Lord emerged once again back into life. After thousands of deaths, he once more stood again, with the earth beneath his feet. The 4 Stone Knights and the great golden giant stood before him, ready than ever to strike him with their duty-bound volition. The Elden Lord ran as fast as he could, for his prowess and agility had made him quite the runner. Even in his heavy golden armour, the golden giant's scorching beams ripped the beauty of the verdant asunder. Soil, tree, plant, and rock spewed into the air, and fell into the great sea below the plateau. The Elden Lord ran, swinging his sword that cleaved 2 Stone Knights in half, as their bodies disintegrated under the scorching fire of the beams that narrowed so nearly another death for the Elden Lord. The remaining two knights crashed into the Elden Lord, trying to sacrifice themselves. They knew that if he was to die, they would refill their number once more. Their plight was not to kill the Elden Lord, since such a thing is hopeless to achieve. Their crusade instead was to make battle, and hold the door for eternity. He was pinned, but in an instant he summoned Torrent, and jumped over the bested stone knights, as the giant rendered their two bodies into dust with the golden radiant beams of purifying fire. As he dismounted from Torrent behind the giant of stone and purifying golden light, with all his strength, all his speed, and all his determination, he crashed himself into a mighty column, breaking it apart as he sped through its heavy baked stone that now flaked and cracked like chalk as it fell over him, and demolished the unsuspecting golden giant, with the thunders of what sounded like an avalanche being the triumphant sound of victory as it pounded the air like a drum in battle. The way open was laid bare to him, for now he could just waltz into the tomb of the eternal golden goddess and take her lifeless body as his trophy. How quite ghoulish and thought. Whispers began to radiate off from the walls that were etched with carvings and depictions of early Empyrean history. "Why do you come here, Elden Lord? Did I not die enough for you to leave me alone to have an eternal rest?" Marika said, formless, as her soul radiated throughout the tomb. Through the tomb, her angelic voice. The Elden Lord was shocked, for he had known that he had separated her from Radagon, but he assumed she too had died. "I am sorry for the disturbance, and I mean no disrespect. But your granddaughter is trapped in eternal darkness, and she is my everything. All I require is your body, the body of both you and Radagon, and then I will leave your soul to rest here." A golden shield protected the final resting place of Marika, as she lay on a slab of beautifully carved white stone, still preserved, completely untouched, as her body wore a finely decorated gown of silver, and her head bore a crown of flowers with petals of gold as the sunlight enchanted her being. Ah yes, Millicent. What a shame that she had died, for she was kind and fair, unlike her other siblings. She was not granddaughter in a normal sense, for Melania did not birth her into being, for she could not, but instead she birthed her using the magic of life with her seed. Clone-like in essence, but still a daughter nevertheless. "I will drop the shield for you, and you may take my remains, for my body is lifeless and I am tired." Marika's voice became quiet, and the stillness of the air was euphoric, as only the golden light and dust flowed in it. The barrier dropped. The Elden Lord stood over Marika's lifeless and well-preserved body, who still had the other half of Radagon imbued in her, but still perfect for the ritual. The Elden Lord waved his hand around in a circular fashion and recited a spell he had learned from the Round Table Hold. Marika's body in an instant was warped with arcane magic, and it shapeshifted into a tiny wooden pendant. He placed the pendant on a necklace around his neck. Her body was now safe and easy to take with him. He used the Sight of Grace outside Marika's tomb and transported himself to the Haligtree, the place where he fought one of the hardest and strenuous battles of his life, Melania. This place was cursed and grievous to him, for it was also the place where he lost his Millicent. That pain echoed beneath his flesh, and being as he could not hold her in his arms, for he could not tell her his true feelings when she was alive, the greatest act of cowardice of a lonely tarnished. Before him now was Melania, or what was left of her corpse, for although a year had passed, it was still halfway decomposed. The bodies of the Empyreans were truly legendary to their name and stature. She was covered in numerous butterflies of the rot, but they were inert and hibernating for time. for a time of a more anxious state. Flowers around her half-naked body bloomed in the little sunlight that graced them from the holes of the halleck tree. There was a peace here, the peace of death and the tranquillity of what comes next, life, for her body had nourished the ground. Again, the Elden Lord recited the spell, and her body was transmuted into a pendant that he began to wear around his neck. Mother and daughter were reunited. What an odd reunion, he thought to himself. When he rose up again from the ground, he suddenly found himself surrounded by 8 humanoid-shaped beings made of the same wood and tree that was all around him. They too were covered in rock butterflies as they watched the Elden Lord with a judgmental gaze. Yield the mistress, defiler, said one of the wooden beings. They were Millennia's knights in wooden creature form. The Elden Lord, as we know it, is not a diplomatic man, and he quickly thrusted his sword into the first wooden foe he saw. It had done very little damage, as now butterflies of the rot encircled him, nipping at his flesh. One after the other, they all attacked in unison and with perfect synchronicity, for they had a hive mind connected to the halleck tree, and they attacked ferociously. After 5 minutes of arduous deflection and counter moves, rolling, and more rolling, evading each stroke and attack, drinking numerous crimson flasks as the butterflies and the rot began to take a toll, he casted the black flame incantation upon his blade, and a void of darkness amalgamated his blade into vicious and decisive form, as he swept each creature into black ash, as they screamed a high-pitching noise that resonated in the halleck tree's roots below. The ambush was defeated, and 2 of the 3 bodies had been collected. This was perhaps the hardest destination of them all, for it was one that broke his heart into many pieces. When Millicent died at the halleck tree, did the Elden Lord leave her body to stay in the darkness? Nay, he did not. Instead, how else can a tarnished grieve than rest the body of his love beside a verdant meadow, How else can a tarnished grieve than rest the body of his love beside verdant meadows, cool breezing trees, and the gentle waves of the sea? He buried her at the Dragon Temple in Nimgrave, for it was a small island that harboured a soothing, ethereal peace. He stood looking at her grave, and the beautiful small earth tree he had placed there beside it, which had now begun to grow quite beautiful and with grace, just like the person Millicent was, gentle, kind, formidable. He excavated her from her grave, and he saw her like as she was, still preserved, oddly like Marika. But something was different. The roots of the growing earth tree he had planted had changed her body in the soil, as veins of bright shining gold were all around her, pale skin and her hair. Although scarlet red like her mother's, a glow of gold shimmered through it. Nevertheless, she was dead, and her soul gone. His heart filled with sorrow and grief, and in that moment he resented being the Elden Lord, tarnished, for he truly would wish to die with her. He knew, although her lifeless form was before him, the soul in the realm of evil ambition called for him to reunite with her, and save her from the darkness that so eagerly awaited the Elden Lord. This is a big chapter. Bloody hell. Her body became the 3rd pendant. Now 3 generations of Empyreans were so neatly placed with grace around the Elden Lord's neck. The Grandmother Goddess, the Demigod Mother, and his beloved. Finally he had returned to the undersea cathedral forge after 24 hours of strenuous labour, and emotional torture that truly tested his heart. Grathia stood towering mighty before him. The carved runes on his stone body glowed with a blue hue, truly beautiful to the eye, and mesmerizing as the details flowed with an ancient energy unbound and focus. Ah, Elden Lord, I have built the artifact for you. It will open the gate to where your beloved lies, and it will restore her body and mind when the time comes. Here you are, although I do not have the power to activate it, but I believe you know, as much as I know, who that person is, and he is waiting for you in the castle. By the light of the Eternal, what a fine piece of craftsmanship this is. Truly you do not know how great of a craftsman you are, for the things you build are too enticing to the eye, and as powerful as the mightiest kingdoms on fertile lands. I cannot thank you enough. Greyfear was indifferent. He was too humble and too eager to continue his work to accept such compliment. He held out his hand, reaching for something almost. Do you have the hair of Marika and Melania? The weapon I can forge from their divine essences will create a mighty sword capable of immense power. This would be a favour to me, for it will be my magnum opus. The Elden Lord delivered the hair into his stony palms, strands of red and gold together. The runes on Greyfear's stony body glowed heavy with colour. Truly, what you say about my work is what I say about these ingredients you give me. With this hair, I can produce a work of art. Name your weapon. What do you wish for me to craft? That will deliver overwhelming victory to you, and relentless defeat to your enemies. Greyfear was in a state of euphoria. As you said, I want a great massive sword. It must be thick, it must be cumbersome, and when I swing it, it should slice through the necks of dragons, giant or demigod. A massive blade that is the size of a man. I wish for a weapon such as this, for while my greatsword is also humongous in size and power, it has grown light and quick. I wish to feel the heaviness of a great blade once again. Then you shall have it, Elden Lord. When you come back from the realm of darkness and sorrow, it will be ready for you. I also have this. The Elden Lord, as he gave strands of hair that belonged to his beloved Millicent. I also have this, said the Elden Lord, as he gave strands of hair that belonged to his beloved Millicent. Perhaps you could make a separate blade. A curved sword, perhaps. I wish to gift her a mighty blade, so that this time she will be protected and safe from any foe that may assail us. Greyfear smiled, which was quite off for a giant made of stone. Very well. A mighty gift will be forged for your woman, although try not to get into a physical fight with each other. These blades might turn violent upon the world around you. The Elden Lord laughed. I would never harm her, and I don't believe she would ever harm me. What a funny thing to say. Right. Off you go, Elden Lord. The man in the wooden gold mask awaits you at the bottom of the castle. Gentle humming is heard from the front of the Elden Lord as a resonance of ancient song lost to echoes. Long lost echoes the underground walls of the castle, before eventually reaching the door of the cube-shaped room. Luciferia sat by the portal on a slab of basalt. Ah, Elden Lord, you have returned. Did you manage to recover the bodies? I hope you didn't slash them up too badly. No. Here they are, he said, pointing to his neck, showing the three pendants that were so peacefully dangling in unison. Ah, quite a head you have on you, Elden Lord. What genius to preserve and transport their bodies via making them small and cute. One cannot tell whether it is sacrilege or divine. The Elden Lord produced the cube of resurrection before Luciferius's eyes, as he so comfortably lay on that cold slab of stone, in that dark, eerie portal room. The cube glowed an ethereal ember within its core. It was alive and calculating, but still inactive. "Oh, what a beauty you have brought to me. Give it to me, and I will stir it to life." The Elden Lord relented and gave the beautifully crafted object to Luciferius, who snatched it like a child with his choice. Who snatched it like a child with his choice of toy. In seconds, Luciferius began chanting a tongue unrecognizable and ancient. Not even by the Round Table standards had such a language been heard. The artifact came to life, with the light and dark energies of blue and red swirling around it. It began to hum with the labours of arcane machinery. Luciferius placed the artifact into the pedestal beside the towering black-framed portal, and both came to life, as purple power surged and lighted the portal into being. "There you go, Elden Lord. Be quick, and hopefully you will not be trapped for an eternity, for I would rather miss your company," Luciferius said, snickering, barely able to contain his own nefarious laughter as he stood behind the Elden Lord as he began his departure into the world of darkness and sorrow. The realm of the Dark Eternal was now traversable, and his journey to find Millicent had begun. But armed with the tools, confidence, and filled with clear resolve, he marched proudly through that gateway of death, and smiled, for he had now had love surge in his body anew, and he, for the first time in a long while, felt alive. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next chapter.